We are live, which is so much better than being dead.
You've already used that one.
But maybe we have new people. Hey, everybody. Happy
Thursday.
You know, have you noticed during the pandemic that days just sort of run into each other?
I have no idea what day it is, what date it is.
And then weeks, it's like, it's Saturday again. Yep. Oh my goodness. Or it's Monday again.
Yep.
Anyways, as we continue on our journey through Your Brain is Always Listening, we actually did all 13 dragons from the past. And so we're in a brand new section called the They, Them, and Other Dragons.
So we've got past dragons, they, them, and other dragons, and then you've got other sections.
And then we're going to do the bad habit dragons and the scheming dragons and the addicted dragons. I have a new 12-step program for you actually based on neuroscience. And I have this quote in the book. Actually, I have a lot of quotes in the book. What you think of me is none of my business.
Yeah, I use that one a lot.
Actually, it's from Terry Cole. I'm going to be on her
podcast
coming up. Another one. I learned long ago never to wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty, and only the pig likes it. And one more. Be kind to everyone you meet, because we are all fighting our own dragons. And if you want to know your dragons, go to knowyourdragons.com. You had 10 of the 13.
I had 10. I think I'm a record so far.
No.
I'm not?
Somebody had 12.
Oh. Overachiever.
They had, so in dragon terms, it's not a herd.
It's a thunder.
It's a thunder. So you have a powerful dragon. Thunder. Well, today we are going to talk about the parent dragon. This is the parent dragon.
Parent dragons.
Oh my God.
Anybody else have mommy issues or daddy issues?
I think everybody in my house has daddy issues.
Yeah. Yes.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, my dad, his favorite word when I was growing up was bullshit. I mean, can I say that? That was his favorite word. I mean, he just said it a lot. His second
that's
favorite
the thing I like
word,
about, that's the thing about your dad I like. So.
his second,
At least your dad didn't go away.
His second favorite word was no.
That's why I relate to him so much.
You don't tell me no.
No, but no is one of my favorite words.
It is.
That and I told you so.
We just had an I told you so moment.
Oh, it was about kitchen knives. Get over it.
But do you have parent issues? So I have daddy issues, no question about it. I'm the second son in a Lebanese
So let
family.
me tell you my only
completely
issue.
Not important.
Let me tell you my issue with the term daddy issues. Is that it somehow connotates or gives this impression that you are at fault and you are not. It's something that happened to you because of something that one of your parents did. So as one of the kids in our house said, I'm going to give them daughter issues. I refuse to have daddy issues. I'm going to make sure they have daughter issues.
Well, that's another dragon coming up, is your children. Because you always have your children in your head, criticizing you, telling you life's not fair, and you're somehow an inadequate parent, right? I mean, we all have those issues.
It's actually the one thing I don't feel inadequate about.
But you have Chloe's voice in your head. You make decisions.
Well, we all do. I do with you too.
Great. No, there's former, current, and prospective lover dragons that we are going to talk about. But tonight, we're talking about the parent voice in your head. And were you ever like me, where you promised yourself, you swore that you would never act that way toward your
Yes.
children.
Yeah.
And then when you had children, you
Yeah.
were horrified where you heard, if you're crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I swore I'd never drive.
Now, I didn't say that often, but the one time I did, I just like, you promised yourself you would never do that.
Yeah, I swore I'd never drive like my mom, and I'm starting to drive like her.
That's very scary.
Yeah.
So, what do you do about it when you have parent issues? I mean, what you did is you scanned both of your parents. And that actually really helped you with your
Well, it gave me
issues
a lot
with
of
your dad.
insight. Oh, with my dad, it was completely transformative. It healed my relationship
You
with
should
him.
tell the story.
Well, probably a lot of them know the story, but for those of you who don't date or marry a psychiatrist if you want to stay estranged from your family. So that's number one. So when I met Daniel and I tried to, I was disconnected from my dad, not by my choice, by his choice. He left.
Well, and sort of by your
Well, no, it was my choice as an adult. But he left when I was a child, when I was really young, and made a lot of really bad decisions. I write about it in my book. There's a couple of chapters on my dad, but the really great chapter is titled "The Prodigal Father." It's one of the best chapters in the book because it's about I had written all of these horrible things and what I'd gone through with my dad, but then there's this turning point. And I remember my sisters called and they were all upset, my half sisters, and they were still connected to him. And they said, Dad is dying. He's got Alzheimer's disease. He's a recluse. He won't come out of his room. He won't shower. Like, he's a mess. And I'm like, what do you want me to say? Like, this is not my monkey, not my circus, right? Like, what do you want me to say? I don't even know him, really. And so, I mean, that's really how I felt. I mean, that sounds really cold and bad, but that's how I felt. It's like, why is this my problem? And so I came to you thinking you would like second my thought for being so clear about my boundaries. It was not what happened at all. You're like, oh, we have to scan him.
My monkey, my circus.
Right, the monkey your circus. You made my family your circus, yes. So you're like, I have to scan him. And I'm like, no, we don't need him in our lives. And you're like, no, he's your dad. We have to scan him.
Yeah,
and
family is like really important to me.
Yeah, but you didn't know my family.
And now I do.
So you insisted that I bring him down. Oh, and this is rich. He insisted that the dad that I hadn't seen for so long actually, sorry, lost you for a second. He insisted that the father that I had not seen for so long actually
Now, it's not the
move
whole story.
in with me.
No, that's not the whole story.
That's
it's just
pretty close to the story.
to get him assessed. And
where did he
evaluated.
end up staying?
Well, but that was
For years.
So, what we found when we scanned...
You notice he didn't answer.
When we scan... Well, because there's a process to the story, right? You can't just get to the end, and then he died. But you can't just do that.
No. I said he lived with me. So
Let's
part of my resistance was that you wanted him to live with me.
Not initially. Let's start. So, diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, a recluse, not coming out of his room. Her two half sisters have no idea what to do. And I'm like, dementia. I assess dementia all the time. One of the reasons I started scanning people is, well, how do you know if it's dementia or something else? And when we scanned him, he didn't have dementia. He had something called pseudo-dementia, which is severe depression that masquerades as Alzheimer's disease. He was on a toxic cocktail of medication, and he is Tana's dad. Now, I love this woman, and I'm going to do whatever I can to be helpful. And since he was involved in making you, I at least wanted to get to know him. And when we started dating, like the first week, I introduced you to my daughter. You introduced me to Chloe, right? Chloe was 2 at the time. And so I wanted to meet him. I wanted to help him. And I found out from a physician standpoint, he's misdiagnosed, mistreated. So many people with dementia are, which is why we do imaging at Amen Clinics. And then changed his medication because he's on a toxic cocktail of medication. I remember that. And put him on supplements, changed his diet. And, he's got pseudo dementia. Really, what he had is a very severe depression. So I'm not okay going, oh, well, let's just send him back to the room in, middle California where he's not coming out of the room. It's like, no, you don't do that. And so, yes, having to live
So this person that I have really awful history with now is living with me. And
so then tell them the story.
Now the good part of the story. So I had to build up the truth. The bad part of the story is the truth. So then, so literally he ends up losing 20 pounds. We put him on our program. He loses 20 pounds. He gets well. He's like, his memory's coming back. He's starting to be really active. My dad was a Baptist minister. Now, there's a whole story on that, a chapter on that in my book, because that's a whole nother story. A lot of you are going, oh, why were you estranged from your dad who was a Baptist minister? It wasn't quite that simple. But he ends up now getting well and starts doing all-day seminars at the local church. So he goes from being a recluse, not coming out of his room, to now teaching seminars
with dementia
and leading Bible study in my house. And I'm like, so I couldn't trust it at first. I'm like, is he just going to go back to being the same old dad that I used to know when I was growing up? But what happened is the reason it was so transformative is because he now was better and he got better, it now gave us a chance to address the issues. I mean, we had to address those issues. He's living in my house. So that had to happen. But we addressed the issues. We now had time for this healing to happen. And he ended up dying 5 years later of something completely unrelated, leukemia. And so he died 5 years later in my arms with me praying for him. And there was this total transformation during this period that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't insisted on taking care of his brain issues first. But I had to talk about the truth of the ugliness first because we wouldn't have gotten there.
That's why they have dramas on TV. We have plenty of drama in our life. So, what's going on in your head with your parents? I mean, I still have my dad in my head. And yeah, there's the goat story is in here with the wounded dragon. And we have a public television special coming out nationwide starting February 27th. We filmed it at home, so it's our pandemic special. And we're going to talk about the dragons and the wounded dragon that, my dad gave me that one. And your dad was a wound. But,
huge.
But I think therapy for you was just so helpful because you have to be open to recognize the dragons and then to work on them over time.
I have to read some of his comments.
So,
great.
How you both dealt with, wow. Somebody called us a liar.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but...
what you think of me is none of my business.
Very cool. So when parent dragons are triggered and you feel... So they're triggered by when you feel like you've done something wrong or you're not good enough or supported. Or sometimes you are supported by your parent dragons and motivated to work harder. What to do, what do you need to listen to or leave behind? So focus on the positive parental messages you receive and flip the rest around to use it to prove them wrong. So some of you are like me, and if somebody told you, you're like me, if somebody told you you couldn't do something, you're going to have to do it.
Right.
Right. You just want to assess it, good for you or bad for you. Anyways, tomorrow we're going to talk about the sibling and birth order dragons. Now you're an only child, so people are chatting. One of them's like, your wife is so pretty.
Oh, thank you.
I totally concur on that. She takes my breath away, even after 15 years. So, I will be back. Have a great night. Remember, your brain is always listening. Your book is called The Relentless Courage of a Scared Child. So
Story
if you
about
want
my dad, isn't it?
drama and suspense and drownings and murder and cancer.
Nobody drowned. Someone was murdered, but nobody drowned.
It starts with a near drowning.
Fortunately, I did not drown. I am here. Almost.
Bless you all. See you soon.
Bye.
That was fun. You're a hoot.